A lot more clouds today. The sunlight is still out though. I've been doing some tests actually with the time lapse. I'm just surprised how different the feel and look could be with some setting changes. And what did I read today? How about this first one with that recent news of Russia launching hundreds of drones against Ukraine? Apparently there's going to be retaliation, or at least a threat of it, which caused chaos around airports. According to this one, it says Russian airports paralyzed, hundreds of flights canceled due to drone threat. I would imagine in this case they would have an actual real concern just based on events versus, let's just say, hysteria in general when people say there's a quote drone around an airport and they shut everything down. It says in Russian airports, including Moscow and St. Petersburg, almost 100 flights have been canceled and hundreds more postponed due to the threats of drone attacks. The most critical situation is observed at Sheremetyevo Airport, where over 170 flights have been delayed and almost 50 canceled. You can see all these videos and stuff too being posted online of people just jam-packed because nothing is getting in or out, I guess. So with all this too, apparently the authorities there imposed temporary flight restrictions leading to hour-long delays and cancellations as you would expect, and some passengers have been waiting for over 10 hours, and the Russian Defense Ministry claimed 4 drones headed for Moscow were shot down. And this follows a pattern of intensified Ukrainian drone attacks targeting Russian military and industrial infrastructure, including a strike on Bryansk Air Base. So there's back and forth between the two, and they usually say too, and it's true, it's the regular people that lose, huh? And with that thought of restricting flights and stuff, and with drones, I guess around the world, a lot more places are just banning drones in general around sporting events and so forth. And how about this one? This one here says, man charged with flying drone at Women's Euro 2025. A man flew a drone around the venue in St. Gallen on Wednesday evening during the first match of the Swiss-hosted Women's Euro football tournament. The 30-year-old violated the absolute ban on flying during match days. He was reported to the police. The government of Canton, St. Gallen has issued an absolute flight ban around the Kiambam Park for the match days, the St. Gallen City Police announced on Saturday. As a result, the St. Gallen City Police monitored the airspace. At 9:15 p.m., members of the police noticed the drone. A patrol then succeeded in locating the drone pilot. The man had flown his drone within the no-fly zone without informing himself of the rules in advance, the police wrote. So someone doing it ignorantly, I guess you could say. At the same time, I guess that's going to be no defense, as they say. And again, with the use of drones, it makes me wonder in this case too, what's with all these stories coming out of people being flown out of natural disasters, for example, with the use of drones? How about this one? It says, stranded fisherman rescued by drone as river waters rise. A fisherman who became stranded in the middle of a fast-moving river was rescued by a drone. A video filmed on June 2nd in China's Zhejiang province captured the moment a fisherman was lifted into the air and brought to safety by a drone. According to local reports, a quick-thinking resident deployed the drone to deliver a rescue line directly to the man. The fisherman secured the rope attached to the drone around his waist and was then safely carried to shore. That's one of those examples too, where, as I say, there's probably way more everyday scenarios where people could use their drone in a good way to save someone's life, but in a lot of places they'll say, nope, it's illegal here and there, etc. I mean, how many more times has this probably happened versus that sensational example of the toy drone flying 5,000 feet in the air randomly, taking down an airplane with hundreds of passengers? I mean, I think it's actually more probable that more lives have been lost because people didn't use them in these situations. What would you do in that situation where you could use your drone to save a life, for example, or document something really important, but it's quote against the law? Would you actually do it in those scenarios? Alright, see you guys later.